How many of us have very little friends that we would do anything for, that we could not imagine anything bad happening to them, whether it's a dog, cat, farm animals, fish, no matter what? All of us have different relationships with animals, whether we keep them for pets, whether we hunt them for food, whether you go and visit them at a zoo, or have cultural or religious beliefs for them. He's talking, my bad. All of us love animals. Could you imagine having your animal spend their entire life in a cage, being poked and prodded by people they don't even know? That is what a majority of animals in the world spend their lives doing. In 1957, the 3 R's were implemented to try to help bring awareness and give people more drive to seek alternatives in animal testing. The 3 R's stand for reduction, replacement, and refinement, which is trying to reduce the amount of animals, there's another one, animals used in animal testing, but unfortunately, it still happens all over the world. There are alternatives such as stem cells we can test medications on. You can use cell-based in vitro cell culture systems for testing. I mean, these animals spend their lives being tortured. No, they cannot talk, but if you've ever had a personal relationship with an animal, you know that they have their own special ways of communicating. There was one special quote made by a Dr. Richard Klausner that says, "The history of cancer research has been a history of curing cancer in a mouse. We have cured mice of cancer for decades, and it simply didn't work for humans. We need to acknowledge the fact that the use of animals will not make us better scientists, but bitter scientists in the end." I believe that we just, if more people would speak up about this, be educated about this, and know the risks and what's actually happening, there'd be more people that want to talk about it. Within the last 6 months alone, I know in the US there were hundreds of beagles that were released in the southern United States that were released from an animal testing site, and they were brought to the Midland Humane Society. And so many of those animals didn't know what it was like to live in a home. None of them were potty trained. They were skittish. They were afraid of people. And you just have to think, okay, well, they clearly weren't being tested on by other animals. So what made them be afraid of people? I just feel as the testing of animals is not necessarily needed to have advancements in medical procedures, medicines, cosmetic companies that have to test their cosmetics on animals before they can test on people. I just don't think that that is worth a life. And I know many people would say that human life is more important than animal life. In my own personal opinion, that's not always the case. There are plenty of people, I'll say prison inmates, that are sentenced to prison for their entire life, and you want to tell me that that person's life is more important than my animals who I made a promise to take care of? And no, that's just not the case. So I just want to bring awareness. I want people to understand that there are alternatives to animal testing, and that we can do better as a society if we're more educated that there are alternatives available for us to use.